You're listening to the Courage Hotline podcast. I'm your host, Candace Doby, leadership development strategist, courage coach, speaker, and author. And on this show, I take real questions from professionals who are stuck in a swirl of fear, doubt, and hesitation. Then I give them candid, coded advice and practical strategies to help them check their fear, conjure their courage, and tackle their peskiest professional problems. Whether you're navigating workplace politics, speaking up in high-stakes meetings, or just trying to bet on yourself, you're in the right place. We're ready with another episode of the Courage Hotline podcast, and we've got our next caller, so let's just go ahead and get right into it.
Hi, Candace. So my question is that I am currently navigating transition in my career, trying to switch industry, and I think I'm just really trying to figure out how to cultivate the courage to take action in the midst of very volatile and uncertain market and with outcomes that I cannot control. How do I find the courage and not be trapped into the fear that all the scarcity is projecting, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when there is no guaranteed outcome? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for this question. And I'm going to start with the end for this one because something you said really landed with me, and that is, how do you take courageous action when you can't guarantee the outcome? And it's just that. You cannot guarantee the outcome with or without courage, but really particularly with courage. Courage doesn't guarantee success. It does not guarantee that the outcome that you are hoping for is going to be the outcome that actually happens. Courage doesn't work like that. I mean, if courage could guarantee success, then everybody and their mama and their cousin and their uncle would be acting courageously. But courage is a complex value and virtue. It deserves respect. We got to put some respect on courage. It's not easy to just ride out with. If it was easy, again, everybody would be leveraging and activating it. So courage can't guarantee success. The only thing courage can guarantee when you use it, when you conjure it, is that it will guarantee that you will provide yourself an opportunity to have more access to possibility than you would if you did not use and leverage courage. So you will have access to more possibility if you leverage courage. So that is the only thing that it can guarantee. So I just want to, start with the end of your question is there are no guarantees with the outcome. Does that mean that we don't act courageously? No. Quite the opposite. Because we can't guarantee the outcome, we actually do want to act courageously so that we can give ourselves an opportunity to access more of the options that are out there and available to us. So that's the first thing. The other thing that you're asking me is really about, how do I get some momentum? How do I put one foot in front of the other and move forward and put the energy and effort into landing a new position when all of this external noise is around, all of this external dust is getting kicked up? And you actually answered your own question within your question. You said, how do I do these things? And essentially you were saying, how do I control the things that I can? And that's just it. In this process or transition that you find yourself going through, where you're looking for a new job, where there's a lot of stuff going on externally, I think you're thinking about going into a different industry, if I remember from your question correctly. And the answer is, how do I have the courage to move forward? Well, you have the courage to direct your attention and your focus towards the things that you can control. When we are dealing with courage, when we're inviting courage to come on whatever journey with us, whatever transition we're going through, we're not doing it to control the outcome. We're actually inviting courage on a journey, which is your process. So the answer here is really baked into that. It's really baked into, we got to give up attachment to the outcome. You got to detach from the outcome and become super and hyper committed to the process. That is what courage is. Courage is a process, and you're going to become more committed to your own process. So this is what this looks like. I want you to actually think about yourself as a scientist, as someone who is about to create and execute an experiment. What is the first thing that scientist does? That scientist starts with a hypothesis, starts with a question. This is what I believe would happen, but really we're starting with inquiry. We're starting with, how does color affect human behavior? Let's go find out. So we start with the question. And that's what I want you to do in this transition when there's a lot of external noise and a lot of things that are fragmenting or vying for our attention. No, I want you to center on, what is the question? The question can be, how do I want to show up in this next phase? What kind of position, what kind of career am I really interested in? Am I really attracted to? You're going to start asking yourself some questions to create space for you to open up your line of thinking, for you to disrupt the negative thought patterns that you might find yourself in right now, which is thinking externally rather than focusing on internal process. So what is the question that you want to lead with in this experiment that we are creating and crafting right now? Again, think about how you want to show up, how you want to move during this transition. What kind of career are you going after? That's the first thing. The second thing is to now figure out a method. Now we got to think about data collection. And as a scientist, we know that there are different modalities and methods that we can collect data. For you, this method or this data gathering phase, it's really about asking yourself some more questions like, well, what industries am I interested in? Or what types of roles am I interested in? How can I build relationships with people within the industry that I'm trying to move into? This is really all about gathering information and gathering data. And yes, you can control that. You can control who you reach out to, what jobs you apply to, how you tell your story. You can control that. You know, a lot of applying for jobs and building rapport or connection with people, a lot of it is about the stories that we tell. You know, how do you tell the story of you as an employee, a leader, a professional, someone who takes initiative, tells the story of lessons that you've learned from different experiences that you've had in your personal and professional life? So this is part of the data gathering or the research. Have you told your story in a really compelling way? So again, this is part of the research and the process that we are going to focus on rather than the volatility of the market. Because the market is volatile, the market may be unstable, and there are job openings. There are positions that are open that directly align with and connect to the experience and the value and the brilliance that you have. But rather than worrying about how few jobs there are or the volatility of the market, let's focus on what you bring to the jobs that are available. Or let's focus on what kind of magic that is untapped currently within you because our focus has been elsewhere. So that is the process, the data gathering, the methods. And then, you know, the other thing to remember about a scientist in this phase is a scientist, their whole thing is detaching from the outcome. Like, I feel like here's a question that I have. This is what I think might happen, but I detach from that. And now I just get really integrated and really involved in the process. In fact, scientists, they often remove, try to at least remove their personal opinions or thoughts or filters that they have going on, because that can introduce researcher bias into the experiment that they're running. So it does really become all about the process. All right. So how can we fall in love with the process? How can we make the process fun? How can we make, the process one in which curiosity rises to the surface and really shapes the experience that we're having within the process? The last thing is that then you get to see what you get. Then you get to see what happens. But that outcome really is shaped by the process itself. So I heard in your question, I heard in your voice that this is something that I think has been weighing on you. It's been on your mind. It's been in your spirit about how hard things might feel right now, particularly within this transition. And I just want to hopefully provide a little space within what you might be experiencing right now for you to inject and insert a new way of looking at this as an experiment, looking at this as a way in which you can have fun, looking at this as a way in which, I even say gamify it. How can you bring elements of gamification or fun into this process for you? Because what your own self, your community, the people around you, and even the job market, what they need is they need your brilliance. They need your energy. They need your unique perspective that is informed from the way in which, you were educated or brought up, that connects to your passion, your interests, your talents. This is what organizations need. But right now it seems as like you might not be able to access that because you're so focused on the external. And I just want to invite you to refocus on the internal process, which is what you can control. So what I want to offer you is, why don't you just go ahead and tap into that personal agency? Why don't you just go ahead and tap into that power and that potential that really you can gain greater access to by focusing on the process and detaching from the outcome? I hope that helps. I would love to hear where you land in this transition. If anything in this answer has helped you get to where you are trying to go. Want to take up more space at work without second guessing yourself? Join the Risk Fitness Club, my private community for ambitious professionals like you who are ready to speak up, step up, and show up courageously every single day. We're talking live workshops, expert-led trainings, and a crew that roots for you and your bold moves. Head to CandaceDoby.com to learn more and get on the list. It's time for some courage candy. These are the bite-sized insights on courage that you can tuck in your back pocket, put in your purse, and pull out whenever you need a taste of courage motivation. Giving your career a bold pivot in a volatile market can feel like walking a tightrope in the wind. Fear keeps shouting, "What if it doesn't work out?" But here is the truth. Courage is not about guaranteeing anything. It cannot guarantee outcome. It is about committing to the process. Think like a scientist. A scientist starts with a question, runs the experiment, and collects the data. The scientist doesn't try to bully the outcome into existence because that would ruin the whole experiment. The focus is on the method. It is the steps that the scientist can control. Your career transition is the same. You cannot control the market or the timing, but you can control how curious you are, how intentional your steps are, and how much effort you can put into building relationships and sharpening your skills. When you detach from the outcome, you take the power back from fear. You stop letting it hold you hostage to what if, and you start moving forward with, let's see. And here's the best part. No matter how it turns out, you're going to walk away with information and growth and momentum. So put one foot in front of the other. The result is just the headline. The real story here, the one that shapes you, is all in the process. Want to be more confident speaking up at work? Start by taking one intentional risk a day. That's what the Risk a Day Challenge is all about. 21 days, 21 risks to help you build the habit of courageous action. No fluff, just movement. If you're ready to train your courage like a muscle, head to CandaceDoby.com and check out the challenge. That's it for today's call on the Courage Hotline podcast. If you got something out of this episode, then be sure to share it with a friend or a colleague who could use a boost of courage. And if you've got your own professional challenge that you want me to weigh in on, visit CandaceDoby.com and leave me a message. The Courage Hotline is written by Candace Doby, produced by Karam Pimpale, music by Lamar Shirley, and production assistance from Monica Dulay.